Some people overthink, or they have been oversold on the solar market and what it's capable of. I'm a little under the weather, so forgive me if I sound bad. Hey everybody, this video is going to be a little bit different today. I'm sitting in front of a little off-grid cabin. About a year and a half ago, my wife and I made a decision to move from too close to the city to not so close to anything and very far away from the city. And we did that successfully. We bought a little over 60 acres and started a homestead, farmstead, whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of different names. Started raising animals and attempting to grow food. That's another story. But just to be prepared for the future. As you know, our country is kind of willy-nilly right now, and it doesn't look so good for the future with the recession that we're in. And we kind of saw that coming and wanted to do the best we could for our family, to raise our kids, and to insulate ourselves from stupidity, if you know what I mean. So I brought this building. I actually built this building back at our old house, and then I had it moved up here. It was grid tied back then, but now it's not grid tied. And so one of the most important things I think that we can have for the future in times like this is energy independence. There's a lot of other things that we need to do, but energy independence is a big one. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit in this video. I'm just going to review a system I've been testing for a little bit, and you'll see that. And I'll give you my opinion on it. And can you do true off-grid power for a reasonable amount of money? That's the question I want to answer and kind of help you with. I think it's worth looking into, and it's something that I'm doing. And so I'm going to show you that setup. I'm going to show you what I'm doing with it. And I'd love to hear your comments about it. Let me know what you're doing to become energy independent, if you are, if you even thought about it or not. At the end of the day, our guns and ammo aren't enough. We need a whole lot of other things to survive and to be independent and to make it in this world, especially the world that's coming. So let me show you this setup, and we'll get into it and take a look at it. All right, come on in here and check this out. It's doubling as our feed room right now for all of our animals. I'm getting ready to unload 2,000 pounds of feed, and figured before I did that, I would show you guys this system I'm working with. This is the Bluetti AC300 with the B300 battery pack. Anyway, I want to go over this with you, show you what I'm doing with it, and kind of show you what it can and cannot do, and what it's able to do. I have it mounted just on a little furniture dolly, and that allows me to roll it around. It's got little handles on it, and so because it's completely portable, I can just roll it to one side of the room or the other and push it around as needed. And so that's pretty cool. It's truly portable. Let me show you that. It's just on a little furniture dolly stacked up. And so we'll get more into that unit. What I'll show you now is I've got two solar panel sets right there. I'm going to show you how I set those up, and I'm just going to run that cord. Right now I'm going to have to run it through that little window right there, most likely, down to the system. But anyway, let me show you how to set these panels up. So you can see those panels are not the easiest to set up, and they're not the most difficult to set up. They're kind of just in between. They're cumbersome. That's where the technology is right now, and they're heavy. That's where the technology is right now. There's not very many, not any quote unquote lightweight solutions out there in solar panels they are what they are. Now you can run this system off of dedicated solar panels. I plan to do that eventually, but right now it is what it is. I'm going to try and set this system up on that table right there. My mic is getting all over my feet. Chickens are trying to come into the feed room because that's what they are, they're chickens. So hopefully this doesn't fall down once I put it on that table. Just want you to be able to see that system, so give me a second. All right, so I've got the main part of the system set up on the table, as you can see, and I've got the 2 solar panels coming in through the window there, which is an easy setup, and then you just have a series of connections for connecting batteries and all your accessories, and this allows you to connect your solar panel. They just have these dust-proof caps and stuff you can see. But anyway, there's 3 grooves. There's 2 little ones and there's 1 big one. The big one goes to the top and it goes in smoothly, and then it has a rotating cap that holds it in place. So 3 grooves, 2 tiny ones on the bottom, 1 thick one on top to make sure you get it plugged in properly. And there we go. So the next thing you have to do is plug in the battery. And what I'm going to do, hopefully, I wanted that battery pack beside it on the table. I'm going to try that, but it's probably going to crush the table. If it does, it'll be funny. But if it doesn't, well then, we'll be all right, I guess. It's probably not going to reach either. So, I have to back the camera up, and I'm going to have to get the cable back around there to there, and it'll at least show you how it goes together. All right, so you have this type of cable. It allows you to connect your batteries, and it has a lock on it. You just hit that lock, and then it connects up if it reaches to the BMS and all the other stuff, whatever you want to call it. It's all in one system. It's not going to go because, so I'm going to turn the battery backwards. Let me show you the front of the battery so you can see the prettiness of it. See that? B300 just means battery 300. It is independent. You can run your own 12 volt DC up to 10 amp stuff off of there, and you can also do USB charging, but then when you marry it to the system takes over, and you can do stuff with that. But anyway, it is an independent battery. If you just want to use the battery in and of itself as a 12 volt source, you could do that. It's worth mentioning. But that's not the genius of the system. The genius of the system is when you use it in conjunction with the AC300. So there it is, locked in there. Try and get that cord out of the way. So I mean, these are cumbersome, but they are what they are. That's the technology right now. It is cumbersome. I have no doubt in 5-10 years, we'll have stuff that'll be much lighter than this, but this is about it right now. So I'm going to fire this up in a minute. You just press the button and hold it. There it goes. As you can see now, it's lighting up. Get you down to that display. Okay, I'll show you. It's 100% charge. I did charge that via solar. All right, so I'm guessing because it is 100% charge, it's not showing the input wattage, but it is showing the input voltage, showing the panels are working. So what I'm going to do, plug in a vacuum cleaner. I'm going to use some juice, and I'm going to clean up the feed room. So to do that, you gotta plug in your appliance, turn your AC on, the little button there. And so now I have power to the vacuum cleaner. And I'm gonna let you guys watch that meter. Let me show you. It should start registering wattage as I use this vacuum cleaner. We'll see. I know you can't see me, but I am vacuuming. You can hear me. So you can see AC load output voltage is 120.5. Output power, it's using 1150 watts at 60 hertz. And so this is a very intelligent machine. It does show you everything you need to show, but the cool thing is you can do pass-through charging. You can charge this while you're using the stuff that you need to use. You can have the solar panels during the daytime, obviously, only, and you can be using power while, okay, now we're down to 99%. And then you can see now I have 483 watts coming in. I have 1141 watts going out. So you see the offset there mathematically. If you have something under your input wattage that you're running, it's a zero loss game. You can pass through, utilize energy through this system. So that's the brilliance of a system like this, is that you can pass through the system while you have a full battery charge and still use appliances or whatever you need to. You can do a lot on 420 watts. And if I show you outside, if I don't get all my wires crossed, you can see the panels out there. They're not in full sun. There is a little bit of shade. But they're in pretty good sunlight. And I'm getting 450 watts, we'll say, input. I'm getting 300 watts off of the panel that's in full light, and I'm getting 150 watts to 170 watts off the one that's not in full light, it's in shade, so that's okay. So that is the brilliance, in my opinion, of this system, is that you can fully battery charge, and while you're charging, you can still run stuff off of it. All right, I turned off the vacuum cleaner for just a minute so I can show you. I plugged in another appliance, which is the little AC unit, because it got hot vacuuming this place. So that AC is running on extension cord over to here, as you can see. And hopefully you'll be able to see this display. It's got 585 watts coming in. I adjusted the panels out there, so I've got almost 600 watts coming in, and I only have 387 watts going out for the AC load. Now when I kick back in the vacuum cleaner, obviously that's going to go negative, or you know what I mean, negative differential. But right now, if I were only running the AC on a hot day, I'm up 200 watts, able to charge my system, or have an excess of 200 watts that I can use for other things. And so that's it, again, the brilliance of this system. So I'm cooling the place down. I'm going to continue vacuuming and get back to you in just a minute. All right, so as you can see, I've been vacuuming and running the AC for about 20 minutes, and it has taken this down to 93% from 100%, but it's 431 watts AC load just for the air conditioner, and that's running on high, full bore, and that's just a single room window unit, one of your 5,000 BTU units, so that's pretty good. And I've got 600 watts, 590 watts coming in via the solar panels outside. And so I'm going to recoup that. I'm going to get back to 100%. Even if I ran this all day during the sun, I'm still going to recoup that. And that's pretty good. So I want to go over the specs with you, just so you know what you're getting into if you choose to buy one of these or not for the future. I think it's going to work well for my needs for an off-grid cabin like this. Basically to have a minimalist environment where you can run the necessities of life. I think one AC300 and one B300, that's just one battery pack, can do an awful lot, and we'll get into that in just a second. But this is a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and it has 6,000 watts of surge, which is really good. You don't find that in your smaller systems. And then when you couple that with one battery, that gives you a little over 3,000 watt hours on one battery. And you can chain up to 4 batteries together with it, so that gives you up to 12,000 watt hours, and that's a lot of juice for a long time. So one battery, I believe, is good for, like I said, an off-grid cabin like this, minimalist, to get things done, the necessities of life and what you need to do. But man, if you pair that with 3 more batteries for a total of 4 and 12,000 watt hours, you can run a lot for a long time. And it's a pretty impressive system. The only decision you have to make is it worth the money that you shell out to buy it. And it does use the Life PO4 batteries, and those are good up to 3,500 cycles, up to 80%. So battery's going to last you a very, very long time if it holds up to what they say it will hold up to. Obviously, I haven't had it long enough to test it 3,500 cycles. I have charged and drained it a total of 3 times since I've owned it. So, and you may say, hey, well, what about 240 volts? Well, if you grab 2 of these systems, 2 of these and 2 of these, you can bond them together. They have split phase 240 volt bonding, and you can actually run 240 volts off of that system. So that is unique as well. I think the modularity of the system is one of its strong points, that it is very modular and upgradable, and that's to be commended, because especially in a homesteading situation or a survival situation, you want to be able to be modular. You want to be able to break it down small enough to run small stuff, or upgrade it to the 240 volts. If you have a 240 volt powered well pump like I do, you want to be able to do that. Of course, you can always switch your well pump over to 120 volts AC. They have those now, soft starts, and you can run it off of that too, which I'm thinking about doing in the future, and that is a video for the future. One of the other cool things, it doesn't really make a difference to me, but because I'm using it for emergency situation and for an off-grid cabin, but you can charge this system through the wall. You can charge the battery through the wall. You can actually charge it through your car, as well as charge it with solar input. I'm a little under the weather, so forgive me if I sound bad. I should have said that in the beginning of the video, but I didn't. But it does have those ways to charge it, and you can use a combination of any of those charging. So you can have solar input with AC input. You can have your car charging it with solar input. You can have a combination of all those charging inputs, so as long as you have enough ports for the inputs, and you can go ahead and charge that. So is this a good system? It is a great system, depending on what your aspirations are. Some people overthink, or they have been oversold on the solar market and what it's capable of. You're not going to run your whole house off of these 2 units. Is it expandable to do that? Absolutely, it's expandable to do that. Again, depending on the needs of your whole house. If you have 4 air conditioning units, things like that, and you're probably not going to do it reasonably monetarily. But to run an entire off-grid cabin with up to 12,000 watt hours expandability, you can definitely do that with this system and anything 120. If you double up on the AC300, then obviously you can do that split phase bonding for 240 volts and run pretty much anything your heart desires. But in an emergency, are you going to run your basic family needs for a long time? Yes, you are. Especially if you're a calculator and you can use it sparingly the way you need to. I mean, I've been sitting here at 93% and I've been running the air conditioning the whole time we're talking. I've got 500 watts coming in and I've only got 440 watts going out with the AC load. And so basically I can AC all day long and keep a full battery in full sunlight. Now, one thing to mention, if you did think about expanding a system like that for your whole house, they do have a UPS 24/7 backup switch. It's available on their website. It's extra, but it is a switching mechanism just like you'd use with a traditional generator, a whole house generator, to switch you over so that you never are at a loss. As soon as it senses grid failure, it will connect and turn on the Bluetti system, and that would run your house. And so it's big enough to do that and to switch over and to give you whole house power with the right expandable system. And again, you would need the UPS 24/7 switch to do that. That's not in my plans. My plan is just to run this self-sufficient little off-grid cabin, and I think this system like this, maybe with another battery or two, and it would run me for days upon days upon days. I may actually think about mounting some panels on the roof. The portable ones are okay, but they're not as weatherproof the way the roof-mounted panels would be, and so that would probably be my next move with this, is to hardwire it into some roof panels up there and get the maximum input rate coming in, which I think is 2,400 watts with solar panels. And I think that will be a really good self-sufficient system for an off-grid cabin, minimalist off-grid cabin that would definitely allow you the basic necessities and comforts of life while you wait for whatever emergency is to blow over. Or if you just want to live off-grid full-time, then you could do that too. So we talked about the pretty big stuff. It goes without saying, it'll do all the little stuff you need it to do. It's got a 24-volt 10 amp, not to be confused with a 12-volt system like cigarette lighter, but it has a 12-volt 30 amp system also over here. So you have 24-volt 10 amp and 12-volt 30 amp outputs on the front here. It's got all your USB devices, DC outputs that you can use, and then it has wireless charging for your phone as well on the top, and it will charge all those devices. So it'll do all your little stuff you need to, as well as the big stuff. The intermediate stuff is going to be where this thing excels, all your 110, 120, 115 stuff. That's where this system is going to excel, running a small off-grid cabin like we're talking about here. So this is the Bluetti AC300 and B300 battery. And those I have together with two PV350 solar panel sets. Those are the modular solar panels that I showed you setting up in the beginning of the video. And that makes for a pretty powerful system, especially for an off-grid cabin like this that you need to use in an emergency. And in a situation where it gets your family out of a bind while you're waiting for power to be restored, grid power to be restored, or, like I said, if you want to live off grid, you could definitely do that with this little system. You wouldn't be able to run everything that your heart desires, but you'd be able to live in comfort for a very, very long time, so long as you have some good sunny days ahead of you. If you have any questions or comments, what you think about this system, please put them in the comments section below. As always, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. God bless you and yours.